when we were in Sylvia, there was a big pine tree in the front yard. It must have been 30, or I don't know, 30 feet tall or so. And it had branches from the tippy top all the way to the tippy bottom. And I was coming out the door and they said, Jacob's on the top of the tree, which was normal for Jacob. And so I came out and he says, look, Dad. Of course, he was higher than as high as you could get. And being little skinny by this time, he could get pretty high. And he says, look, Dad. And all of a sudden, down through the tree, hitting every single branch. You see Winnie the Pooh? Every single branch. Boom, 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 boom. And of course, I was trying to reach him and get there in time. And he gets down to the bottom and he says, wasn't that cool, Dad? I said, you did that on purpose? I said, don't ever do that again. Wait, can you do it one more time? I'll get mine. He went back up the tree. And he got to the top, and I said, Jacob's in the tree, he wants you to see him. And she came out, and down he went, boom, 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 through all the branches. And of course she did, she was all over the place. And he's going, it doesn't hurt, Mom. Much? Well, he had to do it for all these different friends. And I said, no more. Don't do it anymore. He says, that's okay, Dad. It's starting to hurt a little. And he had little tiny scratches all over his body because he was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. And that was Jacob. And throughout his life, Jacob was touching everything. When he was little, we would go to the store and he would walk down and he would touch everything, every coat. So we had to make sure his hands were clean. Otherwise there would be a stripe of dirt down all the clothes and across everything. He had to touch everything. When he would talk to you when he was little, he would touch your face. And of course, you know, when I was reading or studying or watching a football game and stuff and he wanted me, he'd say, Dad, what, Jacob? Dad? What, Jacob? What? And he'd hold your face. And he'd say, never mind. Because as soon as he got your full attention, he would get all nervous and forget what he was going to say. And I kept thinking, man, dating is going to be rough. How is he ever going to find a girl? You know, he's going to have to talk to me. And they're not going to understand this face-touching thing. Well, I don't know if Isaac talked to him and said, you know, you're going to have to find another way. But he was very nervous when it came to talking to girls, unless he thought they were like his sister. Then he had no problem. And he would do all kinds of things, and I would constantly see his knees tore up. He'd be twisting his ankle. He'd be tripping on this, and I think it's because he was always looking around instead of watching where he's going. He just loved life. We're teaching a parenting class, and one of the sections that we teach is how to really love your children and even other people. And one of the things it talks about is eye contact. How important it is to actually make eye contact. And so maybe Jacob, that's why he always wanted to make sure he had eye contact. But being Jacob, he took loving to a whole new level. He would sit on the couch in the litter with all the others, and he would gently take his sister's hand, and he'd close their hand very gently as everybody was not paying any attention, and then he'd simply fold their finger, take their knuckle, and touch his eyeball. And he says, doesn't that feel cool? I'm like, oh, Jacob, don't do that. That was Jacob. Always wanting to experience everything, loving the outdoors, loving nature. Jacob never knew how cool he was. Jacob when the kids would cry, Jacob would cry. And he'd say, I'm sorry, because he didn't like to see other people suffer. Jacob, when he would fall down and bust his knee wide open and be all bleeding and everything, and we would go, and I'd say, oh, Jacob, you know, we'll fix it up, and he'd say, I'm sorry. I said, why are you sorry? He says, I didn't mean to cause so much trouble. That's just the way he was. He was low maintenance. You ask him, what would you like to eat? He said, I don't care. Well, I said, well, if you had to choose, well, I don't want to choose. He didn't want to make decisions. I think that's why he joined the military. When they said they were going to make him a petty officer, he told me, Dad, I don't want to be an officer. I came here so somebody else could tell me what to do, so I don't have to decide. I says, it's petty. Don't worry. Jacob seemed to blossom. He made friends so easy. He appreciated and talked about his shipmates and the fun that they had. I could go on for a long time telling stories. But I do appreciate his shipmates. And his shipmate Israel told me that, he said, I want you to know that Jacob set the bar for us. He set the bar for integrity. And they weren't sure what they were going to do without him. Guys, he set the bar. Honor him with your lives. Live them in such a way that Jacob would be proud to be your shipmates. Throughout his life, Jacob told me, after he's tore up his knee, fell, or did something, he said, Dad, maybe that wasn't the best idea. And I'd say, you think? And again, I found myself in a situation after I had heard the news, wanting to run and jump and try to reach him, but finding that my reach was too short. But also finding that my God's reach was sufficient. And that I do not have to live with the emptiness that the deep has taken my son. But I have the sure peace that God has caught him and raised him up. I have enjoyed, and I am so thankful to the God of the universe for the 23 plus years that he has blessed me with Jacob and the children that I have, every one of them. I don't know what I did to get so fortunate, but they're all keepers. They're awesome. And I'm glad they're my friends. Even though when they look at pictures of Becky and I when we were engaged, they say, I can't believe anybody was your friend. So they have the plague of being our friends. I thank you all so much for being here. And we love and appreciate you. And may Jacob's memory bring a smile to your face and joy to your heart as he has ours.